up, we've got Prime Fan. Did you see Skip Bayless said Shedeur needs to start? That is the good question, actually, Prime Fan. I did see Skip talking about this again. Here we do have the quote from him. He said, Shedeur will win this job. He should be the starter, and he is the answer. He's got a great chance, and he showed you everything he showed you. He's the answer. Skip Bayless, very adamant about Shedeur Sanders being a franchise quarterback and should be our starter. And
Glory
did you hear what
Stefanski is gone. He didn't want Shedeur. I believe he was sabotagey to Shedeur, especially in first and goal situations when he kept going Wildcat so that Shedeur wouldn't score a touchdown. The decks are now cleared for a young man who I believe proved that he is who the Cleveland Browns have been looking for at quarterback.
It gives Shedeur a great chance to be the guy. You can go about it one or two ways. You can find a head coach who want to bring in a quarterback and spend the $30 million, $40 million on a guy like Willis or somebody who showed they can be the guy. Or you can use that money to build the team up if you believe in Shedeur. I got a 5th round cheap quarterback situation. I could put all this money into the O-line, into some receivers, into some guys, and I could wait to pay Shedeur for a year or two or whenever. And then when you do pay him, you still probably can lowball him because he's a 5th round pick.
I think he's earned the opportunity to go into the offseason to compete for that starting job, to be the guy. I think he can solidify it.
He's earned that. He earned that right. As far as y'all's like Stefanski thing, I think it was time for a change. It just ran its course, but because it ran its course in Cleveland, I don't want people to forget that Stefanski did something that only 13 people in history have ever done. He won Coach of the Year twice. Here's what I'll say about 12. He's always had the pedigree.
That doomed Shedeur to the 5th round. During one of the interviews, somebody with the Giants, I don't know if it was executive or coach, asked Shedeur about you, Shedeur's relationship with you, the mentoring, teaching, coaching, and somebody asked some question about, is Tom your role model? Do you try to model your life after Tom's? And Shedeur said something like, well, I don't want to model myself after his wife left him for a trainer. And I don't even know if he said that, but I've heard it again and again.
Don't let this distract you from the fact that a 5th rounder had one of the top selling NFL jerseys this season. Don't let this distract you that a 5th rounder came from the practice squad all the way up to starter and got Rookie of the Week as a Browns quarterback. And the only person that had the same stat line as him in the Super Bowl era is Joe Burrow. You see some of those facts that I just said? Skip could have said some of those same things, but he chose to pick a story that no one cares about. Skip, why are you still talking about his slide in the draft? It's over. If you think you're helping, you're not. Some of those facts that I just said, you could be talking about some of those same things, but instead you're picking stories that make no sense and have no validity to them. I don't know why you think it's helping, but at this point, it's done. Everything that he does from this point on as a 5th rounder is way more impactful than the fact that he actually slid in the first place. So stop it, let it go. You're not helping, in my opinion. But what do you guys think? Do we need to know stories like this about Shedeur at this point? Do they matter?
Listen, the NFL media just exploded, and what Skip Bayless said about Shedeur Sanders has Todd Monken's phone ringing off the hook right now. We're not talking about some casual hot take on First Take. Skip went nuclear, calling out the entire Browns organization by name and putting Monken on a ticking clock that's about to run out. But here's what nobody's telling you. While Skip is out here declaring Shedeur will win this job, he is the answer. Todd Monken is sitting in that Cleveland facility frozen, watching top defensive coordinator candidates get snatched up by other teams, watching Jim Schwartz play mind games with his future, and watching a 5th-round rookie tell the world, "I'm the guy you've been looking for," while he does absolutely nothing about it. The Combine is 3 weeks away. 3 weeks, and we've got insiders reporting that if Monken doesn't pull the trigger on this quarterback decision soon, he's going to lose more than just coaching candidates. He's going to lose the locker room, the fan base, and possibly the most talented rookie quarterback they've had in decades. The pressure is mounting, the stakes are insane, and what I'm about to break down will show you exactly why this isn't just about football anymore. This is about legacy, this is about power, and this is about whether Todd Monken has what it takes to make the call that could save or destroy the Cleveland Browns. Stick around, because what happens next could change everything.
What Shedeur said the other day, told Kay Adams, I proved to myself I'm able to dominate the league. I think that is the one thing about Shedeur, his confidence. That is a quality, and his leadership ability that you would love if he's the franchise quarterback, because he would take it to new heights with that confidence. And I like Skip's point about winning the job, right? Because I think, like I alluded to at the top of the show, it's not his guaranteed right now. And Shedeur said that as well. He says, I got to go out there and prove it this offseason, and I will because I have reps.
So let's rewind for a second, because you need to understand exactly what Skip Bayless said and why it's causing absolute chaos in Cleveland right now. Skip didn't just throw out some random opinion during a slow news day. No. This man looked dead into the camera and said, word for word, Shedeur will win this job. He should be the starter, and he is the answer. He's got a great chance, and he showed you everything he showed you. He's the answer. Now think about that for a second. Skip Bayless has been covering the NFL for decades. He's seen Hall of Famers come and go. He's watched dynasties rise and fall, and he rarely goes this hard for a fifth-round rookie who's only played a handful of games. But here's what makes this even more interesting. Skip isn't just hyping up Shedeur because he likes the kid. Skip is challenging Todd Monken. He's essentially saying, I can see what you apparently can't see, and if you don't make Shedeur your starter, you're making the biggest mistake of your coaching career. And before you think Skip is just being dramatic for ratings, let me tell you what Shedeur Sanders himself said the other day that has everyone talking. The kid sat down with Kay Adams and dropped this absolute bomb. I proved to myself I'm able to dominate the league. Hold up, read that again. A rookie who was drafted in the 5th round just told the entire NFL world that he can dominate the league. Not compete, not hold his own. Dominate. That's not confidence, that's conviction. That's the type of mentality that separates good quarterbacks from legends. And you know what the crazy part is? When you watch Shedeur play, when you see how he moves in the pocket, how he processes defenses, how he delivers strikes under pressure, you start to believe him. But here's where this story gets messy and why Todd Monken is in the hot seat right now. While Skip Bayless is out here championing Shedeur, while the rookie is declaring he's ready to dominate, Todd Monken and Andrew Berry are out here saying they're exploring all options and looking externally for quarterback solutions. Translation, they're not fully committed to anyone on that roster right now, including Shedeur. Now let me ask you something. Does that sound like a coaching staff and front office that knows what they're doing? Or does that sound like a bunch of decision makers who are terrified of making the wrong call and getting fired? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like the latter. And get this, Mary Kay Cabot, one of the most connected Browns insiders, reported that this quarterback decision needs to come soon, not in a month, not after the combine, not after free agency starts, soon, because every day that passes, another top defensive coordinator candidate gets picked off by another team. Raheem Morris? Gone to the Niners. Jonathan Gannon, snatched up by the Packers. Anthony Weaver, Baltimore swooped in and got him. These aren't just any defensive coordinators. These are the top guys in the entire league, and they're getting picked off one by one, while Jim Schwartz sits there playing hardball with his contract, leaving Todd Monken in limbo. You see the domino effect here? Jim Schwartz won't commit to coming back. Todd Monken can't finalize his defensive staff until he knows if Schwartz is returning. Meanwhile, all the elite DC candidates are going to other teams. And while all this chaos is happening, the most important decision of the entire offseason, who's going to be the starting quarterback, is just sitting there unresolved like a ticking bomb.
His confidence, Joe Flacco talked about this at the Pro Bowl. He was like, you could just see it, how much he believes in himself. That is the characteristic of a good leader. And it would be a dream for the Browns if he's their guy. A 5th-round pick on a rookie deal turns out to be your franchise quarterback? Like, dream. We've been looking for it for decades. And Shedeur said, I'm the guy you've been looking for. Man, I love the kid a lot. I really hope it is him. But we're going to need to see some more, and I'll be excited about it if he wins this quarterback battle in training camp.
Here's what's really going on behind the scenes, and this is where it gets spicy. According to reports, both Andrew Berry and Jimmy Haslam indicated they're looking for a quarterback, which tells you they don't think they have their QB1 on the roster currently. But here's the twist. They didn't flat out say, we're not going with anyone on our roster. They said they're exploring all options, which includes Shedeur Sanders. So what does that actually mean? It means Shedeur is in the conversation, but so is everyone else. Free agents, draft prospects, trade targets. The kid proved enough to be in the mix, but not enough to be the guy right away. And honestly, that's fair. The offensive line was terrible last season. The system was broken. Nobody looked good. Not Deshaun Watson, not anybody. But here's the thing that Skip Bayless clearly sees that maybe Todd Monken doesn't fully appreciate yet. Shedeur showed the most out of anyone. Think about it. The offensive line was a disaster. 4 of the 5 day 1 starters are free agents. The 5th one is Jedrick Wills, and if you watched Browns games, you know that's not exactly a ringing endorsement. The running game was non-existent to the point where Shedeur Sanders was the team's leading rusher in most of his starts. Let that sink in. The quarterback was out-rushing the running backs. That's how dysfunctional this offense was. But even in that chaos, even with defenders in his face every single play, even with no run game to lean on, Shedeur Sanders flashed. He showed explosive plays. He showed arm talent. He showed the ability to extend plays with his legs. And most importantly, he showed leadership and confidence that you simply cannot teach. Joe Flacco, a Super Bowl champion who's been around the league for over a decade, was at the Pro Bowl and said something that should have every Browns fan hyped. He said when he watched Shedeur, you could just see how much he believes in himself. And Flacco went on to say that type of self-belief is the characteristic of a good leader. Now let's pause right there, because Joe Flacco isn't some random analyst throwing out hot takes for clicks. This is a man who's won in this league at the highest level. He's played with elite quarterbacks. He's competed against legendary signal callers, and he knows what it takes to lead an NFL locker room. And when he says Shedeur has that it factor, you better believe that means something. But here's where the Browns are getting in their own way, and why Skip Bayless is absolutely right to call them out. Todd Monken likes quarterbacks who can scramble and use their legs. That's his offensive philosophy. He wants a mobile quarterback who can extend plays and make things happen when the pocket breaks down. Well, guess what? Shedeur Sanders checks every single box. The kid can move, he can throw on the run, he can make plays with his legs. He fits Monken's system perfectly. So why the hesitation? Why are they exploring all options instead of just committing to the 5th round steal sitting right there in their building? And this is where it gets real, because it's not about talent, it's about politics, it's about egos, it's about Andrew Berry not wanting to fully commit to a 5th round pick when he's the one who gave Deshaun Watson that massive contract. It's about Jimmy Haslam not wanting to admit they whiffed on the Watson deal. It's about Todd Monken trying to cover all his bases so if things go wrong, he can say, well, we explored every option.
The most yards in the league. And then, going to Georgia and winning back-to-back national championships was crazy. Even when he was his first stint in Cleveland. Yep. What he did with that offense, right? Yeah, you could argue he was the reason for Stefanski getting Coach of the Year.
Freddie Kitchens called
the plays.
But your offense coordinator is still heavily involved in game planning.
He's putting everything together. Yeah. If it's the Legos, he's stacking it. He may not be getting the credit for the end point, but he had a lot to do with that. Yeah. So I think it's an A. I think Shedeur is going to benefit greatly from Monken.
But you know who doesn't care about any of that political nonsense? Shedeur Sanders. The kid came out and said, I'm the guy you've been looking for. He's not worried about being a fifth-round pick. He's not worried about competing with Watson. He's not worried about the offensive line struggles or the lack of weapons. He believes he's the answer. And Skip Bayless is screaming from the rooftops that Cleveland better wake up before it's too late. And here's what makes this even more frustrating for Browns fans. This is literally a dream scenario if it works out. A fifth-round pick on a rookie deal turning into your franchise quarterback? Do you understand how rare that is? The Browns have been searching for a franchise quarterback for decades. They've drafted busts in the first round. They've traded for expensive veterans who flamed out. They've cycled through journeyman after journeyman. And now they have a kid with elite talent, elite confidence, elite leadership, and he's costing them nothing compared to what they're paying Deshaun Watson. But instead of embracing that opportunity, instead of going all in on Shedeur and building around him, they're sitting there paralyzed by indecision while the rest of the league is making moves and getting better. It's maddening. Now, let's talk about what Skip Bayless really understands that casual fans might miss. Skip said Shedeur will win this job. Not just should win, but will win. That's a prediction, and Skip doesn't make bold predictions like that unless he's seeing something concrete. So what is he seeing that makes him so confident? First, the lack of alternatives. Free agency is weak at quarterback this year. The draft class isn't loaded with elite prospects. Trading for a guy like Anthony Richardson would cost draft capital the Browns don't really have. So realistically, what are the options? Bring back Deshaun Watson as the starter after he's proven absolutely nothing? Sign a veteran stopgap like Malik Willis? Those aren't solutions, those are band-aids. Second, the coaching fit. Todd Monken loves mobile quarterbacks who can scramble. Shedeur fits that mold perfectly. If Monken is being honest with himself, Shedeur is literally the type of quarterback he's been looking for his entire coaching career. Third, the upside. Shedeur is 23 years old. He's just getting started. The flashes he showed as a rookie with a terrible offensive line and no running game should have everyone excited about what he could do with actual support around him. Fix the offensive line in the draft, which, by the way, they better go offensive line heavy because 4 of 5 starters are free agents. And suddenly, Shedeur has time to throw. Add a legitimate run game with a healthy Quentin Judkins, and suddenly defenses can't just pin their ears back and rush the passer every play. Give him a full offseason to work with the receivers and learn Monken's system, and suddenly those explosive deep shots become consistent instead of occasional. The pieces are right there. The talent is right there. The opportunity is right there. But Todd Monken has to actually make the call. And this is where Jim Schwartz comes into play, because believe it or not, the defensive coordinator situation is directly connected to the quarterback decision. Here's why. If Jim Schwartz leaves, Todd Monken has to replace him, and the best candidates are already gone. That means Monken might have to promote from within, maybe Chris Bond, the safeties coach, or Tarver, the linebackers coach, guys who've been in the system and can keep continuity. But here's the thing, if Monken is scrambling to fix his defensive staff, if he's dealing with Jim Schwartz drama, if he's trying to rebuild the offensive line through the draft, he cannot afford to also be uncertain about his quarterback. He needs stability at that position.
Deshaun Watson? According to insiders, he's going to be on the roster in 2026. Jimmy Haslam said it's up to Monken what he wants to do with Watson. So theoretically, Watson could be in the quarterback battle in training camp, and if he wins it, he'll start again. But let me ask you something. Do you really think that's the best move for this franchise? A guy who's never been healthy, who hasn't looked good when he has played, who's making $46 million a year while the rookie making less than $1 million is outperforming him? The smart move, the obvious move, is to make Shedeur the starter. Let him develop under Monken's system, use Watson as an expensive backup for injury insurance, and actually build something sustainable for the future. But whether Monken has the guts to make that call remains to be seen. Skip Bayless sees it, Joe Flacco sees it, Browns fans see it, even Shedeur himself sees it when he says, "I'm the guy you've been looking for." The only question is, does Todd Monken see it?
Or is he going to let fear, politics, and indecision cost him the franchise quarterback that fell into his lap in the 5th round? Because here's the reality. If the Browns fumble this opportunity, if they waste Shedeur's talent because they're too scared to commit, it won't just be a missed opportunity. It'll be a franchise-altering mistake that haunts them for the next decade. Imagine watching Shedeur sign with another team in a few years and turn into a Pro Bowler while the Browns are still searching for their quarterback. Imagine Skip Bayless saying, "I told you so," while Cleveland suffers through another losing season. The clock is ticking. The combine is 3 weeks away. Defensive coordinator candidates are disappearing. Jim Schwartz is playing games, and Todd Monken is sitting there at a crossroads that will define his entire tenure in Cleveland. So what's it going to be? Does Monken listen to Skip Bayless, listen to Joe Flacco, listen to the evidence right in front of his face and commit to Shedeur Sanders? Or does he chicken out, explore all options, and end up with another mediocre quarterback situation that wastes this defense's championship window? The pressure is on. The stakes have never been higher, and the entire NFL is watching to see if Todd Monken has what it takes to make the call that could save or destroy the Cleveland Browns. What do you think? Should Shedeur Sanders be the Browns' starting quarterback in 2026? Do you agree with Skip Bayless that Shedeur is the answer, or do you think the Browns should keep looking for other options? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now because I want to hear what you think about this whole situation. And if you made it this far, you're clearly a real Browns fan who cares about this team's future. Do me a favor and smash that subscribe button so you don't miss any updates on Shedeur Sanders, Todd Monken's decision, and everything happening with the Cleveland Browns this offseason. We're going to be covering every development, every rumor, every insider report as this story unfolds. Trust me, you do not want to miss what happens next.